Welcome to Roll Call, a 126th Air Refueling Wing podcast of the Illinois Air National Guard at Scott Air Force Base. I'm your host, Technical Sergeant Brian Ellison. The Roll Call podcast focuses on people, mission, and community. Want to say hello to all our friends who are deployed. Thanks for listening to the podcast. According to Assistant Secretary of Defense for Health Affairs Thomas McCaffrey, DoD is expected to receive its first allotment of COVID-19 vaccines in the coming weeks. The first allotment is a limited quantity of vaccine. The first allotment is to prioritize for healthcare providers, followed by DoD long-term care facilities, high-risk populations, those in critical national capability positions, and finally, healthy populations. The vaccine is delivered in a 2-shot series. The vaccine is voluntary for military personnel as it becomes available, but could be mandatory once the vaccine receives FDA final approval. I can't wait to get mine. It's just something about just that peace of mind of knowing that I've got my COVID shot, and maybe I can rest a little bit easier. Coming this weekend during December Drill 2020 2.0, Airman and Family Readiness has their holiday bazaar each day this weekend from 11 to 2 in building 5046, that's cold storage. Airman and Family Readiness still has a couple food baskets, live Christmas trees, and plenty of stocking stuffers available. Special requests such as delivery for trees, deliveries of toys can be made in advance. For more information, you can call Airman and Family Readiness 618-222-5784. Congratulations to the Wing's Outstanding Airman of the Year for 2021. Airman of the Year, Senior Airman Cole Gelfius, 126th Operations Group. NCO of the Year, Staff Sergeant Mariah Nelson, 126th Med Group. Senior NCO of the Year, Master Sergeant Bryan Hatfield. We'll talk to him in just a few minutes. He's from the 126th Headquarters. First Sergeant of the Year, Senior Master Sergeant Nicole Peterson of the 126th Mission Support Group. They move on to represent our wing at the state level competition during the January UTA at Camp Lincoln in Springfield. Well, again, like I said, we'll be talking to Master Sergeant Bryan Hatfield, the Senior NCO of the Year, coming up in just a few minutes. The combined federal campaign is going on now through January 15th. CFC is the world's largest and most successful annual workplace charity campaign with almost 200 CFC campaigns throughout the country and overseas, raising millions of dollars each year. Pledges made by federal, civilian, postal, and military donors during the campaign season will support eligible nonprofit organizations that provide health and human service benefits throughout the world. Think about it. For most of us, home is more than 4 walls and a roof. It's a place of our own where we feel safe. But so many people around the globe have to find a way to live without the comfort of a place to call home. Over 500,000 people are homeless on a single night in the U.S. Of those, 65% find refuge in a shelter, while the other 35%, just under 200,000 people, go unsheltered on our streets, battling the elements, searching for food, and going days, sometimes weeks, without a shower or adequate hygiene. This contributes to many preventable diseases and injuries. One of the primary reasons for homelessness around the world is unexpected displacement due to conflict or disasters. Affected individuals, families, and communities are typically left with little to no resources. There are many CFC charities helping people who find themselves homeless right here in our own community and around the world. These charities provide immediate relief in the form of a clean bed, hot meal, or shower, but also provide longer-term hope and solutions through training on life skills needed to get back on their feet. So go to CFC the combined federal charities. And if you want to help a cause like help fighting homelessness, you can certainly do that.
Hi, we are the 126 recruiting team. I'm Master Sergeant Heather Wilde, recruiting flight chief.
I'm Technical Sergeant Richard Olson, production recruiter. To learn more about career training with the 126, give us a call at 618-222-5701.
But wait, there's more. Give us a call in the next 5 minutes and you could qualify for 4 years of free college tuition.
Welcome to the Roll Call Podcast, the Outstanding Airman of the Year in the Senior NCO category, Master Sergeant Bryan Hatfield. Again, thanks for coming on the podcast.
Thanks for having me.
Outstanding Airman of the Year. What led you to being nominated for this? We should say you're from the command post.
Yes, I am from the command post. I guess I would say the biggest reason why I got nominated is because Chief Johnson nominated me for the category. Then I would say, but she nominated me, I would like to think, due to my work ethic, everything, all the responsibilities that I've taken on, my involvement that I've had within the wing outside of my command post duties.
What involvements have you had outside the wing?
When COVID started, I helped my mother-in-law make a bunch of masks, and we distributed those out way back in March and April of this year. Gotten more involved. While they didn't have it this year, last year I was involved in the Kids on Guard. Colonel Jackson earlier this year asked for a commemorative 126 refueling wing coin be made for all the stuff we've done this year, the COVID, DISCA, possible flood duties. So myself and Sergeant Freeman from the GLSC, I want to say.
Okay.
We both volunteered for that, so we designed the commemorative coin for the wing this year.
Yeah, I saw that coin. It's got the COVID virus on it.
Yeah.
That's a great. If you haven't seen that coin, I didn't know that that's awesome.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's actually I guess you could say maybe a lot of not really hidden meanings, but there's a lot of more than just what's on the surface to it. Obviously on the front you have the guardsmen standing in front of the state of Illinois as, hey, we're defending our state. We also added a mask to the guardsmen as part of the COVID thing.
Oh, I didn't see that.
Yeah. If you're looking at the coin on the left-hand side, obviously you have the coronavirus thing. On the right-hand side, there's a riot shield and a riot helmet to represent what the security forces did with civil support. On the bottom, there was water, which was initially we thought we were going to get tagged for flood duty, but with the base flooding in 2020, it rounded up very apropos.
That's right.
Yeah, and then on the back, obviously that represents more of our global commitment and our worldwide defense of the nation. And I didn't intend it, but it was pointed out to me that the nose of the 135 actually points towards Poland.
Oh.
So as our state partner, so that sort of just dumb luck with that design, I guess.
A great Easter eggs.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And how did that collaboration go with the? I didn't catch his name.
Sergeant Freeman.
Sergeant Freeman. How'd that collaboration go?
We basically we had a meeting with Colonel Babiak. We had both drawn up some ideas as to what we thought it should look like. He gave us some inputs, and then it was very much a back and forth as, hey, hear what we think. We get his feedback, Colonel Jackson's feedback. We'd incorporate what they wanted. I want to say the whole process probably took about 3 weeks maybe to get the finalize of the design, but it was pretty painless. They pretty much, Colonel Jackson pretty much trusted us to get the right thing. There were just certain things that he wanted in there, which we obviously were able to incorporate really easily.
That's really cool. Yeah, if you haven't seen that coin, I'm sure some friends of yours have received the coins. For those that are listening, and maybe we should do you have a copy of that we could put on the Facebook page or out there on Instagram and social network?
I don't have mine on me because it's in my stash at home, but
right.
They are, I want to say they're probably listed on, there's probably pictures of it on our wing page.
Okay.
I know that one of my guys I work with, Sergeant Reeves, and I posted that I got lucky and got coined 4 times this weekend. I posted all the coins, so there are pictures of them floating out there.
You got 4 coins?
I did.
Wow. That's like, I don't know, that's like a grand slam. I mean, it is a grand slam.
Yeah.
That's pretty awesome.
Never happened before.
Yeah, that's
probably never happen again.
It's a rarity. Yeah. What'd you get coins for this weekend?
Colonel Jackson coined me for with the commemorative coin, obviously for all the stuff that Command Post did with coronavirus, the taskings. I mean, it was interesting to say the least with that. And then he coined me the commander's coin. I believe that was for winning OAY.
Oh yeah, sure.
And then Chief Douglas coined me just for making it to the board.
Oh, that's cool.
I believe he coined everybody on their way out of the board. And then General Nizamis coined me also.
You got a coin from General Nizamis?
I did.
I haven't got a coin from him, but I should get a coin for driving with him.
Yeah.
That man is he's a madman when he drives.
I've known General Nizamis, I believe, since he was a major.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Oh, I was looking at the old yearbook. I think from 2000. I think there's a nice picture of General Nizamis as, I guess, colonel with a nice stash.
Yeah, Lieutenant Colonel.
Similar to my stash, which I grew for Movember.
Yeah.
And I was going to shave it off, and my wife and daughter were like, no, keep it. I'm like,
I'm growing one for March.
For March? What's a March?
Mustache March.
Mustache March. So I should probably just keep growing mine out.
Yeah.
I don't know.
One of the guys thrown down the gauntlet, so I was like, okay, challenge accepted.
So we're here with Master Sergeant Bryan Hatfield from the command post. He is the senior NCO winner of the Outstanding Airman of the Year. What was that process like for you to go through just being at that board? Because was it nerve-wracking for you? What did you have to study? What goes into that preparation?
There's really, since you don't know what questions they're going to ask you, it's really difficult to study. You sort of ask your supervisors or anybody you can get a hold of, hey, do you have any advice on this? And but you sort of think that, what could they ask you about? Do they ask you about, what do you feel your roles are as whatever category you're nominated for? What do you like? What don't you like about the Air Force? There's so much that they could ask, and you don't know. The biggest thing is be confident, but don't be arrogant, and go in there with poise, know what you're going to say. And if they ask you a question that you don't know, take a breath. It's okay to wait a second or two before you give them an answer. And the other thing I've discovered is if it's a multi-part question, 2 or 3 parts, and you only answer one part and you forget the other 2, it's okay to reattack and ask them, hey, did I answer your question fully? All that. And then something that I've always gotten in the habit of is at the end, always thank board members for their time. Because they're volunteers that are doing this. And the other thing is always ask, did I answer all your questions clearly and concisely? Is there any other information that I need to give you to answer your questions?
That's a great idea. You've been through many boards, I take it.
Surprisingly not, no.
Oh,
no,
really?
But I have helped prep people for boards.
Oh, okay.
So, actually, in all honesty, this was the OAY board was the first one I've been through on the receiving end since my Master Sergeant board. But I have helped prepare a few people for boards.
That's awesome. What was something that maybe while you were in there that tripped you up? Or maybe not tripped you up, but yeah, I mean, I'm sure there's always that question that someone throws at you. You're like, okay, that's a weird one.
Yeah, there was one about, it was a 2-parter of what do you like about your job and what don't you like about your job. And there's always things that you don't like about your job, but you got to in my opinion, you have to make sure that you're not coming off as negative or complaining about your duties.
Sure.
So yeah, it can be an issue, but you don't want to dive into the rabbit hole of negativity, especially during a board.
Yeah. Did you bring up the Air Force dress uniform?
I did not. That was not a question posed to me, and I did not bring that issue up.
We were just talking off air about just the uniform, and boy, that uniform could use a little update, especially with those pants. I struggle with my pants. What tip? Oh wait, I think you talked about it, but what tips do you think? I think we just talked about tips, but any other tips that you can think of going into the board or preparing for the board that would help somebody out?
Yeah, and actually, I mean, it sounds obvious, and it not always is. Check your uniform over, and then check it again, and then check it one more time, and even if you think you got it right, Have your supervisor check it. Have one of your subordinates check it. Have a coworker check it. It's little things that can trip you up. There was one time I've seen when we called it, and no big deal, but an individual had the mess dress command badge on, which is smaller than the normal command badge, just by mistake, no issue. But we called it before they went over, called it before they'd and no problem there.
Yeah, I wouldn't even thought about that, but that makes sense.
That's the thing that is the easiest thing to fix is make sure your uniform is correct. Make sure your ribbons are correct. Make sure you got the right number of devices. Make sure that they're placed where they need to be.
Are they checking that when they go? Are they checking the order that? I mean, they're glancing them. They're probably not. I believe
the board members have a RIP.
Right.
Have your virtual MPF RIP, so they're going to know what ribbons you have.
Okay.
Or they should, and then they didn't obviously go up there with a ruler
Sure.
and measure. But if your ribbons aren't in the correct order, you're missing some. They're going to be able to identify that pretty quickly.
What can someone do to be nominated? I mean, I know you don't go up and ask your supervisor, "Hey, I want to be nominated," but maybe that's a goal for somebody. Mm-hmm. What can someone do? Or maybe, but really, being OAY is also. I mean, it's just maybe being more thoughtful about what you do to get promoted.
Right. Well, the first thing obviously is be good at your job.
Right.
That's the most obvious thing. But then beyond that, no matter what rank you are, whether you're an airman, staff, tech, master, you need to be preparing to do the job of your supervisor. Now, obviously, you're not trying to push them out of the way or anything.
Right.
But you need to show the initiative of, hey, I am trying to take more responsibility beyond what my current role is, to show not only your direct supervisor, but also whether it's your group leadership or wing leadership that, hey, I am preparing myself for when or if this person retires or leaves, that I will be ready to step in if they choose you. The other thing is, when I was a young staff, a young airman, I didn't listen to the guys that were in my position, but get your PME done. And when you can do it, get it done and knock it out. That is a huge issue, because you don't want to be you don't want to be the person where your commander comes to your supervisor and says, "Hey, I'm ready to promote this individual. Are they promotion eligible?" And then your supervisor turns around and says, "No, sir, they don't have their PME done." Or if you're trying to make senior or chief, no, they don't have their CCAF done. Remove every roadblock you can possibly remove by yourself, so that you're not inhibiting your career progression wherever you want your career to go. And then the other thing is, be involved in wing activities or community activities outside of the purview of your actual military duties, because they do look at that. I mean, we're always told they want the well-rounded airman. They're not going to nominate a person. They're not going to select a winner for somebody who. And I don't mean to be negative, that just comes in and does their job. I mean, there's some people that's what they want. They want to come in and do their job, and that's it. But for those that do want to progress, you just have to accept that you're going to have to do certain things outside your actual military purview. And being in the Guard, I would say, doing things for the community isn't really outside of our purview. It's just outside of your actual job duties.
Right. What you mentioned the masks. What else have you done outside in the community?
Well, like I say, this year I made when COVID first started getting bad in March and April. My mother-in-law she was making masks for people. So while I'm no seamstress by any stretch of the imagination, I was at least able to go over there, cut the mask, cut the material to the correct size, measure it, fold it, iron it, and hand them out to people that needed them. The other thing I did is my nephew. He plays on a select baseball team.
Oh,
and
nice.
They are really good. The team as a whole. They won the state of Indiana like 2 years in a row.
Oh, wow.
So anybody from that team that will send me video footage.
Okay.
Even though my editing equipment is rudimentary at best,
sure.
I make an end of year review video for their little league team.
Oh, that's awesome.
So I've done that, and then obviously the aforementioned coin.
Yeah.
And even though it's inside the unit, whatever you can do to volunteer, like
Right.
if, organizing promotion ceremony for your supervisor or for a subordinate, some people don't want that recognition. Some people enjoy that recognition even though they won't admit it.
I might be the one that doesn't want to admit it. And you mentioned what's that? That summer program. What was that?
Oh, the Kids on Guard program?
Yeah, the Kids on Guard.
Yeah, unfortunately, with the pandemic, that didn't happen this year.
Right.
But, it had happened in all years prior. Mr. Barker organizes that. And it's basically, you bring your kids out. I brought my grandkids out last year.
Wait, grandkids?
Yeah, I do. I have grandkids. I have 4 grandkids, and I got one. There's one more on the way.
Wow.
So
I would have guessed you're that old.
Well,
Or
say
however
my
you wanna-
grandkids,
however you wanna
My
say
wife
that.
was married before,
Oh, okay.
so
Okay.
I have 3 stepchildren, although they're my kids because I've
Sure.
been there with them for 20 years, and then my grandkids. But yeah, so I have.
Okay.
But the Kids on Guard program, it's all ages basically. Bring them out. They go around to different agencies. They get to see maintenance, go up in they get to go inside of 135. Security forces lets them. Security forces will put on the attack pads or whatever and let the kids beat them down with foam or rubber batons. Go around to different agencies. Go to life support. They had a lifeboat set up, and the kids oddly enjoyed that one.
Okay. What's your role in that?
It's basically, I guess, like a troop leader, a pack leader.
Oh, okay.
Just basically making sure that none of them get lost, more or less. Keeping them safe, keeping an eye on them, and there's like 3, 4, 5 pack leaders for each age group kind of thing.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, we take them around and sort of it's like herding cats.
Yeah, sure. I'm sure it is. Yeah. What you were mentioning the masks? Who'd you guys give them out to? Were you for the wing?
Basically,
or?
Wing had pretty much. I believe like CE or somebody was already handing out.
Oh, okay.
But this was people that my stepdaughter worked with, or people that my sister-in-law worked with. We'd make them, hand them out. I mean, there was one lady that we made 100 masks for.
Wow.
We gave her 100 masks. So it was basically just anybody who needed them, because at the time, good luck going to Walmart or Lowe's and finding even the mask we have now.
Oh, yeah,
and
sure.
They were behind the curve. So yeah.
So you work in the command post, Sergeant Hatfield. What does the command post do?
I like to describe it to anybody who's not in the military as we are a mix between FEMA and air traffic control. So we are, our actual community college of the Air Force degree is in emergency management. And we track aircraft, but we don't track them on radar. Like, we're not air traffic control. We're not vectoring them and directing them what to do. That is probably the most layman version I can give. Realistically, we are right now we are the sole 24/7 operations within the wing. We're here 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, every day of the year. Rain, snow, sleet, it does not matter. There is somebody in the command post there. We're the eyes and ears for the commander. And we are the only, I believe I can say we're the only enlisted people in this wing that report directly to the commander. There is no buffer between Chief Johnson and Colonel Jackson. We track aircraft. We process messages from higher headquarters. We up-channel messages through higher headquarters. A lot of information intake and dissemination. Obviously, we have all the secure communications, comply with all higher headquarters requirements. Obviously, as a unit with a nuclear mission, we have even more requirements on the command post than what a conventional command post like the 375th does.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm. Our training was probably, I would say conservatively, our training is 50% more, or it's twice what a normal command post is.
So what's the AFC for that?
It's 1 Charlie 3 X1.
Okay. And does that need do you guys need a security clearance?
Yes. So to work in command post, you have a top secret clearance, and then you get special identifiers for being nuclear certified. We get SDAT pay, which is basically says, hey, you're a nuclear certified controller.
Wow. That's is it an intense job?
It can be. I mean, we can go from nothing going on to 100 miles an hour in the blink of an eye. Like I say, the best example of it, and I know not everybody was here for September 11th, but
Sure.
literally September 11th, it went just from a normal average day. And I remember I had just gotten off night shift and gotten called right back in after 2 hours to it's 100 miles an hour. It's a roller coaster of work. It's 1 minute you got a whole lot of work to do. Next minute, maybe not so much work to do. So it's a lot of ups and downs as far as the pace of work that we have.
What's your memory of 9/11?
My memory of 9/11 is I'd worked that night shift, went home, I'd fallen asleep for about 2 hours, and then the superintendent at the time called me and he's like, Hatfield, you need to come back into work. And I was like, no, I don't. I was like, I just worked a night shift, leave me alone. And he said, no, turn on your TV to see what's happening. We are recalling the whole wing. You have to come back to work. And didn't even bother to shave. I was like, oh, I got stuff here to deal with. So I threw my uniform on, started heading to work. My mom called me on my way in. And it was like I said, it was an interesting day. I've never seen, because it was unprecedented. It had never happened before, obviously,
right?
And thankfully, hasn't happened since. But yeah, there was a lot of stuff that I can't really delve into the ins and outs of
Sure.
it. But it was a lot of stuff that we'd never seen in command post before and haven't seen since.
Wow. What was the role of command post in COVID?
As I stated before, command post is the only 24/7 operation in the wing. We were there from the moment it started. Again, it was a lot of information dissemination. A lot of stuff is coming down from state. A lot of stuff is coming down from Guard Bureau. A lot of stuff is coming down from Big Air Force as to requirements, reporting requirements, tasking orders. Hey, we need people to go to this spot in Illinois to set something up. We need people to go here. Reporting when people would quarantine, test positive. And that was really where the guys and gals in the command post, we really, I should say airmen in the command post, we really they really shined. A lot of processes that had never been there before were invented on the fly. A lot of checklists were created on the fly. And I'm still amazed that for the amount of information that we took in, disseminated, and we're still taking in and disseminating, they haven't dropped the ball on it. Like there was never an op ord or a frag ord missed that the commander needed their attention of. I mean, they've been on the ball the whole time. To talk them up, they definitely earned their pay, to say the least.
Gotta ask, why'd you join the Air National Guard?
I was active duty for 4.5 years before this on the other side of the base at TACC.
Okay.
A 6-month breakdown in Panama, which the guys like to rib me about because Panama was a fun time. But I came back. In all honesty, I had every intention of staying active duty. And one of the guys I worked with, for those of you who may remember Dave Borden, who is an officer somewhere now, not in this wing. He came over. I'd worked with him at TACC, and he came over here 6 months before my separation was to take place if I didn't re-enlist. And he told me about the command post over here. I talked to my wife about it. She wasn't real big on the idea of PCSing every 3-4 years or so. So I came over here, talked to the superintendent, submitted my package, and that was back in January of 2001. I came over here, so I've been here almost 20 years, and I don't have any regrets about it. I've achieved more in the Guard and in this unit than I probably ever would have on active duty. And I think looking back on it, if I'd have known, while I wouldn't trade my active duty time away,
Sure.
if I would have understood what the Guard was and what the Guard did, I would have probably just joined the Guard straight out of high school instead of going to active duty.
So where are you from?
Originally from Middletown, Ohio, more or less. I would say Trenton, but nobody knows where it is. And then when I was 5 years old, we moved up to Warsaw, Indiana, which is about 2.5 hours north of Indy, midway between South Bend and Fort Wayne, more or less. Most people know where South Bend is because of Notre Dame. And then, like I said, joined a month after graduating from high school. So that was.
I mean, you can't go wrong with that. I mean, it's a good career.
I love the Guard. Everything that, it has every positive of the Air Force, and none of the drawbacks of active duty, in my opinion. None of the drawbacks.
So you have an interesting last name, Hatfield. Gotta ask, Hatfield McCoys. You related?
I am. My grandfather on my dad's side did some research, and as far as I know, and I actually did a report on it in middle school. My teacher didn't believe me then. But yeah, I believe it's like 8 greats, and an uncle was Ance Hatfield. Nickname was Devil Ance because evidently he was so mean. But yeah, that is related. But I guess my branch of the Hatfield tree, when all that started, some of them were like, no, we're not going to do this. So they moved up to, like I say, around Cincinnati, Ohio. So that's sort of the attachment to that. Got
out of Dodge.
Yeah.
So to speak. Anything else to add?
No. Well, Chief would be, I'd be remiss if I didn't plug this for Chief. We do have two open spots in command post.
Oh, yeah. I forgot to ask you about that.
2 staff sergeant spots, or at least we will shortly.
Okay.
So anybody who's looking to join the Guard, especially if you're an airman on active duty that has a top secret clearance, we would love to have you. And yeah, that's
AGR would be.
Yeah, AGR. Yep.
I mean,
not right now. They're technician. It's a technician slot right now, but I believe they will be AGRs soon.
What is the requirements for AGR? Don't know.
As long as you can pass the ASVAB and get a TS clearance, you don't. As an AGR, you don't have to have the AFSC.
Really?
To get hired, you got to be able to obtain it.
Oh, okay.
As a technician, you already have to have the KSAs or the knowledge skill levels.
So
to require.
Okay, you'd have to have a top secret. Okay.
No, not necessarily.
If you're ready to go AGR.
No, you don't have to have a top secret.
Oh, really?
They'll do an investigation.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Which could take a while. They're so behind.
Yeah. Maybe I'll ask this a different question. Maybe not. I've been asking people this all throughout that's come on the podcast. How has COVID changed how has COVID changed your job?
I mean, it really is just more of what we already do. It's more reporting, more coordination with commanders, or when they stood up the WCC, the Wind Control Center. So it's a lot more coordination, a lot of information flow that we need to make sure we disseminate to the appropriate agencies. And obviously it's up the pace, a lot. It's up the tempo, I should say, for what we do on a day-to-day basis.
One more question, I think. So I guess it doesn't. Can somebody with your AFSC, can they work? Is there another place in the Guard another place besides a command post that they could work?
I believe if you deploy or go TDY as like an augmentee, like there are certain career fields that we could augment. The one that comes to my mind the most, because we've had 2 people do it, is we've augmented crew comm, who does all the secure communications for the air crew, stuff like that. Just because we have the ComSec experience, it's not pretty easy for us to grasp, pretty easy for us to fulfill that requirement. As far as like within this unit, not really. There are like special duty assignments, like you could go up to guard center and work at the guard command center, but there's just not really a good say like, oh yeah, command post could go work in maintenance, or
Sure.
It doesn't really. We're very much a catch-all of little bits of mini career fields.
Okay. All right. Thank you for joining us, Master Sergeant Bryan Hatfield, the Outstanding Airman of the Year in the Senior NCO category.
Thanks for having me.
Colonel Jackson, the wing commander, needs our help because he recently took command. He has to conduct a climate assessment of the wing. He's asking all of us to take the climate survey no later than February 21st, 2021. This gives you the opportunity to let the commander know about any work issues that concern you the most. The survey is voluntary. Check your military email to get the link and access code. The climate survey is a resource for us to provide confidential feedback on many of the factors that affect you and our workplace. Colonel Jackson asks us to answer the questions honestly, whether your answer is positive or negative. He only receives information about the unit as a whole. He's not going to be able to see how you or anyone else in our unit answered to any specific question. The survey will help him understand issues airmen of the 126th are facing and plan actions to ensure we are moving in the right direction. The commander will debrief the wing after the survey is complete. It reminds us in a world of surveys, this one is vital and directly impacts you and your teammates in the wing. You can find that link for the climate survey in your military email. Don't forget to check us out on social media, including our YouTube page. Search for 126 ARW Public Affairs to find us there. If you're listening to Roll Call on Facebook, you can also find us on your favorite podcast apps like Apple Music and Spotify. If you want me to highlight something on Roll Call or have an event you want highlighted, send us an email, 126.ARW.PA.ORG@us.af.mil. Thank you for listening to Roll Call, a 126th Air Refueling Wing podcast focused on people, mission, and community. I'm Tech Sergeant Bryan Ellison.